Hi, I'm Raina Morgan with iHealthTube, and we've been talking with Dr. Rappaport about ATP. And what we'd like to know, Dr. Rappaport, is we've talked about its effect, ATP's effect, on skeletal muscle. What is its effect on cardiac muscle, on the heart itself?
Oh, that's a very, very important question. There are three ways in which ATP is synthesized inside the cell. One is from the beta oxidation of fatty acids that's done in the mitochondria, which is an organelle inside the cell. And this is a very effective way of synthesizing ATP. ATP, of course, provides the mechanical energy for muscle function, be it skeletal muscle or cardiac muscle, or cardiomyocytes as they are called. Now, the beta oxidation of fatty acids is very effective. However, it's very expensive with regard to oxygen. It requires high levels of oxygen. The second way is from pyruvate, which is an intermediate in the oxidation of glucose. It's a 3-carbon unit, and that also requires oxygen. The third way does not require oxygen, and it is from glucose itself, from the main sugar that's utilized by the body. Now, glucose can be utilized as such or from a polymer that's called glycogen that accumulates in muscle cells and in cardiomyocytes. Unfortunately, the heart utilizes 70 to 75% of its energy from beta oxidation of fatty acids. The heart is a sponge for fatty acids. And when you have a failing heart, instead of reducing the utilization of fatty acids because the blood flow is diminished and oxygen becomes more and more expensive, the opposite happens. The heart increases the utilization of fatty acids for its energy, and that's what's called the vicious circle. The reason is, in the failing heart, instead of being a reduction on the dependency on fatty acid, there is actually an increase on the utilization of fatty acid, which leads to the vicious circle that we've been talking about. The reason is that the release of adrenergic intermediates or adrenergic compounds that act in the stimulation of the heart. Unfortunately, these agents, such as adrenaline and noradrenaline, act also in release of fatty acids from fats. And the larger the amount of free fatty acids in the circulation, the more the heart will utilize them. Now, again, one has to remember that the utilization of glucose does not require oxygen, though it's less effective in terms of chemical formation of ATP than beta oxidation of fatty acids. It is much less expensive in terms of oxygen. It can produce ATP anaerobically. Now, ATP is the energy form that provides the mechanical stimulation of the muscle, of the heart muscle.
The ATP stimulates the heart muscle.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the heart also has creatine phosphate. It's also called phosphagen. But both creatine and creatine phosphate are buffers. They prevent the loss of ATP. The main source of energy for the heart is ATP.
It is.
Now, the ATP, in addition to increasing the blood flow and making it easier for the heart to survive, the failing heart to survive, it also increases the utilization of sugar by increasing the expression of the transporter for glucose. This transporter is called GLUT4. And GLUT4 is produced by two ways. One is under direct stimulation of ATP, and the second one is by adenosine making the interaction of insulin with the insulin receptor more effective. It's the interaction between insulin and insulin receptor that brings about the expression of GLUT4. And GLUT4 brings about or sucks the glucose from the blood and into the skeletal and heart muscle. So the utilization of ATP has major cardiovascular advantages, not only in increasing flow, in reducing the dependency of the failing heart on fatty acids, but also in stimulating the uptake of sugar. It has been known, there is an old adage that says sugar is good for the heart.
Most people don't think that anymore, but now we're finding out that because of ATP, it's true. It's true.
This is true.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rappaport, for joining us. We'll talk again.